Hello and welcome to the CNBC TV18 Ebix Cash Studios. This is Money, 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 your weekly personal finance date with me, Surabhi Upadhyay. Now, we've all heard that the interest rate cycle is about to turn. Perhaps it's only a matter of time when we start seeing some format of tightening or rate hikes in India as well. Now, as an investor, when you're looking at the fixed income part of your portfolio, what does this mean? In any case, fixed deposits have been yielding very little return, and a lot of retail investors are wondering what else they can do to go beyond the age-old FD. Well, there are enough options in the market. The question is, which one suits your need? To help us understand this, today we have with us Mohit Gang, CEO and co-founder of Moneyfront.in. Thanks very much, Mohit, for joining in. Season's greetings to you, first of all. And I'll start with the very basic questions, there is a lot of talk in the market right now about the environment turning, what the RBI is going to do next, and whether we should sit up and start thinking about our debt investments. What do you say?
Thank you, Surbi, and wish you and all your viewers happy festivities. I think it's that time of the season when everyone is cheerful. And but the debt market per se and the fixed income investors have a lot to think about. To be very honest, I think the rate cycle turning is a question of when and not a question of if. They will definitely turn, given the way inflation has been inching up, given the way the buoyancy is there on the consumption side of the economy, right? So RBI has been sending out those signals in the recent MPC. Also, RBI kind of rolled back the GSAP program, and they are hinting at sucking out the liquidity back from the system gradually in a systematic, calibrated way, right? So the rate cycle will turn. Currently, the fixed income instruments, whatever are available, FD is fetching around 5%, 5.5%. The real rate of interest in the economy has been negative for a fairly long while now. Repo rate has been pegged at 4% since May of 2020, and it's a very long pause at rock bottom rates, right? And with a CPI inflation of around 5.3, 5.5, you're running a negative 1.5% real interest rate in the economy. In that scenario, all your fixed income instruments typically have been fetching in that band of around 5 to 6 odd percent, and something to figure out something which actually gives you or delivers you more than inflation has been a real tussle for the investors, not just in India, but across the globe. That's the scenario.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And Mohit, I think that's been the challenge when you're looking at the bank giving you less than 6% on your FDs and net of inflation, that really doesn't amount to anything. Maybe it explains why people are constantly pouring more and more money on the equity side. But I want to stick with the fixed income market for the purpose of this conversation. So you tell us, I mean, is there a need to go beyond FDs? Should one look at a lot of the other options in the market?
Oh, definitely, yes. So FD obviously is not beating your inflation numbers, and hence it's not delivering you any positive carry out there. So there's no reason why someone should be in a fixed deposit unless it's for extreme emergency purpose or an extreme safety kind of a purpose. Other than that, look, there are multiple instruments which are available in the market. There are these lot of NCDs and bonds and debentures which keep coming up. These are issuer-specific papers now. Right now, whatever has happened in the debt market on the credit side, we are all aware of that. This entire saga of people turning off credit started from the Ireland FS front, then DHFL, and then multiple other entities where credit ratings kind of crumbled, and there were defaults and delays in payments and so on and so forth. And then the Franklin saga happened. 6 schemes went under lockdown, and there have been a number of episodes which have kind of instilled the fear of God in the minds of fixed income investors, and they are shying away from credit. So if you look at the fixed income arena, what are the ways of making money? You either play the liquidity, you either play credit, or you play duration. These are the only 3 ways of mechanisms of making returns on the fixed income side. And as you're showing on your screen currently, the yields on all the categories of debt funds have tapered dramatically. The average YTM is hovering between 3 to 4.5 odd percent. And so is the 1 month odd return, last 1 month, 3 month returns. If you see, those have all been hovering in that band. So to enhance these returns, there are multiple options which one could consider.
Yeah, but actually, Mohit, before we get to the options, I have one more question, and we'll discuss a lot of the things beyond a fixed deposit that the market offers. But before that, as the rate cycle turns, and as we also look at what's happening in the equity side of the market, Is there a case for a relook at any individual's asset allocation? I know the classical definition is that the asset allocation depends on your goals, your age, and your risk profile, and it shouldn't move with the vagaries of the market. Would you stick to that classical thought process, or do you think this is time to just take stock of things again?
No, look, so you got to stick to your asset allocation, which you have kind of formulated with your financial advisor, depending on your goals and your risk tolerance. And I'm assuming out here, when I say this, everyone is reassessing his or her own asset allocation once a year at least, right? So if you do that on a dynamic basis, then there is no need to look at it just because the rate cycle is not in your favor. Obviously, what one could consider is within that asset allocation, within the debt component, how do you kind of...
Then FD yields. So would you look at anything here?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, I think as a golden principle in debt investing, I would always start with the government saving schemes. Those are the finest products available in the market, consistently delivering superior returns. So your PPFs at around 7.4% or your 7.1%, your PF monies, which obviously is more dependent on your job and salary and everything, but your Sukanya Samriddhi at 7.6%, those are fantastic instruments. To be very honest, I think nothing can beat the tax-free nature and the safety part of these kind of schemes. Beyond these also, Surbhi, a few of the schemes which people don't invest in or don't look at, I think is senior citizen savings schemes and Pradhan Mantri Vyay Vandan Yojana. Both are currently offering 7.4%. Fantastic schemes for people who are retired, who want a fixed annuity. The annuity tenor could be decided. It could be monthly, semi-annual, annual, quarterly, whatever they prefer to be. There is a maximum cap of 15 lakh per person, which could be invested in this, but that's good enough. Honestly, I think...
Mohit, hang on. Mohit, hang on. Okay, you've given us a lot of important inputs. The rate sounds very attractive. You said it's 7.4%, right? Is this going to be fixed or is it a yearly reset? And also in terms of taxation, whether you're taking annuity from the senior citizen scheme or whether you withdraw your money later as a lump sum, I'm assuming that you still have to pay tax at your slab rate. Is that right?
Yes. So interest from both these schemes is clubbed to your overall income and is taxed at your marginal tax rate. So that's there. But I think honestly, the assumption out there is at senior citizen level, you don't have too much of income. And if you can fit in these schemes, which doesn't take you to the higher tax bracket, then obviously these are fantastic instruments, right? As long as rates are considered, Surbhi, these will be reset. These are all 5-year instruments, and the rate reset happens I think half yearly in most of these. So the rate reset is likely, but given the nature that the rates are likely to go up, which is what we discussed at the starting part of the show, one should not fear entering into these schemes because the only likelihood from here is rates going up and not coming down.
Now let's move to the other category for the non-senior citizens as well. And, it looks very attractive. The market is again aflush with NCDs, these debenture issues that are happening, and they're offering very high yields. I mean, sometimes you read 8%, 8.5%. And again, it makes my FD look so humble. But what are the do's and don'ts? Because I remember 2018 onwards, a lot of people have burned their hands as well.
Yeah. Look, so one has to be extremely careful. Out here, you are taking a single issuer risk, which is the key part out here. Once you invest in a mutual fund, you are in a bundle of 50, 100 odd papers, and 1 or 2 papers going awry can't still make or break your fortunes, right? But when you are exposed to a single issuer, you have to be extremely careful. There are merits to it because if you go down the credit path, Surbhi, today, a AAA government paper for 5 years is quoting somewhere in the range of 5.81. A AAA corporate bond is quoting at around 6.1. But a AA corporate bond is quoting at around 9.06. So there is a substantial gap between the AAA and the AA yields in the corporate bond market. And that's where these NCDs become very attractive. If you can really figure out that what is a good AA, AAA minus, AA plus kind of a name where you can invest in a single issuer, then the yields to be made are fairly high. So there have been multiple papers in the market. There was an IFL NCD which came in. There was a PAVR debenture which came in just 2 weeks back. So there are multiple issuances which come in, and they've all come in between the range of 8 to 10 odd %, right? So out here, you have to be very careful about the management, the pedigree of the company, which is the credit rating company which has given the rating or assigned the rating. Is it it should be at least 1 or 2 of those good names. You should have at least CRISIL or ICRA out there to be fairly comfortable in your mind. And then you also have to look what are the covenants and what is the seniority of the paper. Is it secure enough? Is it senior enough in terms of an unfortunate event or a liquidation event which happens? What is the seniority of paper? Is it pledged or hypothecated against some securities or not? So those are few smaller things which you need to read as an investor. And if you're comfortable, honestly, to my mind, you can take an exposure, limited albeit, to some of the good quality names out there.
Okay, fair enough. So that's NCDs, but don't go in blind. You need to do a lot more homework, as Mohit just pointed out. Welcome back here with us on Money, 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 and we are discussing some options to the good old FD if you want better returns on your fixed income portfolio. Now, mutual funds, as usual, offer a whole range of funds, and it's extremely confusing as well. Now that the rate cycle is bound to turn and interest rates are all set to go higher, Mohit, what do we get in and what do we avoid when it comes to mutual funds?
Okay, so Surbhi, I think mutual funds is a very, very tricky option right now. Honestly, you would want to avoid anything with a duration play, which means any scheme or any fund where the modified duration or average maturities are higher than 2 years is something to stay away from. Because if you anticipate the rate cycle turning up, and the first indicators of that had already started coming through the 10-year yields. If you see the 10-year GOI yield, it's shot up from almost 6% to 6.3% in last 1 to 2 odd months, right? So which is a massive increase, indicating clearly the rate cycle is turning, right? And in these kind of scenarios, all the instruments which have higher modified duration or higher maturities will start giving you some mark to market impact or start giving you negative returns out there. So stay away from them. Be towards the short end of the curve, which is your ultra short-term funds, your low durations, your floating rate funds. Your floating rate funds could be very interesting option in these times because around 25 to 30% of the portfolio out there is linked, runs a floating interest rate coupon, basically, which means it's linked to the interest rate movement. So if the rates actually go up, the instruments will get repriced and investors will make higher and higher rate of coupon out there. So floating rate instruments could be a very good form of investment in this kind of a market.
I just want to know, because this could be very technical for some of our viewers, so I'm just going to slow you down here. Since you like these floating rate funds, tell us more. What kind of securities do they invest in? Is there any credit risk involved? And typically, if one is investing for 3 years, which is when the tax advantage kicks in, what's the kind of yield you can hope for?
Okay, so look, currently the YTMs of the floating rate funds are all in the range of around 5-odd%. But technically speaking, the whole premise of investing in these funds is that as the rate cycle turns up, which means that as and when the interest rates increases, the underlying instruments in the floaters will be repriced at a higher and higher coupon, right? Now, the problem in India is that there are not too many genuine floaters available. So there are not too many instruments in the debt market which are genuinely floating rate instruments. There are hardly any, only hardly few government securities and some other papers are available which offer you floating rate coupon. So mutual funds, by mandate, what they do is they keep some portion of their portfolio into genuine floaters, and the others, they do OIS, which is overnight index swaps, technically, which is like a swap between a fixed rate instrument and a floating rate instrument to kind of offer investors this benefit. But for lay investors, the only thing which they need to understand is that as interest rates go up, the instruments within this fund will get repriced, will offer you higher and higher coupon as the rates keep going up, and hence the risk of capital erosion when rates go up is minimalistic in these kind of funds, and that's why these are advisable.
So floating rate funds, so you may want to do some more homework around that and take a call. Now, these are funds on the active side, active management that we've discussed. Let's move to the passive side, because nowadays, even in the fixed income market, there are lots of mutual funds which are coming as wrappers around an underlying index. Now, Mohit, one of such funds that really caught my eye is this SDL, bond PSU funds. SDL, by the way, stands for State Development Loans. What is this creature? A lot of AMCs are, coming out with these funds.
Yeah, I think you're right. These are new creatures in the market, honestly. And so look, I think these are in layman term, these are like open-ended FMPs or fixed instruments or fixed target maturity instruments, so to say. They are more passive strategies in debt. In equity side, we have seen how passive strategies have been taking over, how people have been lapping up index funds vis-a-vis active funds. Similar is the case with debt. Now, in debt, people want extreme safety. They want to go the highest possible quality, and they don't want to compromise on yields also. Like when you wanted to go in for the highest possible safety, there was this Bharat bond which came in, which Edelweiss did fantastically well in and brought the product to the market, and people lapped it up at a very what do you say, in large volumes, right? But now the yields have been tapering off. If you want to go for AAA quality, highest possible quality sovereign backed papers, the yields are hardly 5.5 basically. And people are not satisfied. Investors are not satisfied with that kind of yield. So what fund houses are doing is they're customizing indices. They are making custom make indices. They're asking NSE to make indices for them, which could be a combination of AAA portfolios, AAA corporate bonds or AAA government bond PSU papers, plus some portion of
bonds,
state development loans or state securities or state government papers.
Okay.
In various mixes.
Okay.
And that's the index.
Okay, got that. So now, Mohit, some of this would be complex for our viewers. So I'm going to ask you the hardest question in the end, which is sum it all up for us and create a portfolio. Let's say out of 100 rupees that need to be deployed on the fixed income side of anyone's portfolio, how would you break it up? How much in the government schemes? How much still in a traditional fixed deposit? How much in the floating rate funds or short-term funds? Give us a full breakup with perhaps some fund names, if you like anything.
Okay. I think that's a very interesting one, Surabhi. Look, I will try and go maximum up on the government schemes to whatever extent I can, right? Which means if I am a senior citizen, I will try and do SCSS quota or a PMYY quota, just Pradhan Mantri Vay Vandan Yojana quota. And I will also try and fill up my allocations to PPF and PF and if Sukanya Samriddhi is permissible or which falls under my this thing, I will do that also. So I will go full up there. That's part number one. The second part is then as part of my emergency corpus or my liquid corpus, something which has to be kept more safe and this thing, I would try and go ultra short, low duration and floating rate funds to the tune of around 30 to 50% of my portfolio, which is towards the short end of the curve, basically. And that is also a tactical portion, which I can then move out anytime, move into any other debt instrument as and when I want. The NCDs and bonds, those are aggressive nature of my fixed income allocation. And I would not go beyond 20 to 25% of my overall portfolio in those kind of things. The last portion, which will remain as an adjusting factor, is where I want to take a very long-term call on debt, which could be 2025, 26, 27, 5 years, 6 years, 7 year kind of thing. There I will go these roll down papers or target maturity papers, which could be a Bharat bond series or a PSU plus SDL kind of a bond index fund. These are very safe, very secure. Only thing is one has to hold it to maturity. In the interim, it will give you mark-to-market impact because the rate cycle will turn. But if you hold it to maturity, you will get the stipulated yield like you used to get in your FMP products. So it's a very safe kind of a paper, but you have to have a longish duration out there for a long holding period.
Okay, makes sense. You have to sort of stay through the ride of the roller coaster. So by the time the ride ends, hopefully, you will come out feeling pretty amused and happy. That's very helpful. Thank you very much, Mohit, for joining in and giving us a full bouquet. So there we have it, viewers and, of course, debt investors, a whole range of options beyond fixed deposits if you're looking on the debt side of your portfolio. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Money, Money, Money. We'll thank Mohit for taking out the time for us this week. And we'll see you with another concept, another theme next week.